morning, and thank you for tuning in today. You are watching The Dietitian on a Mission. I want to welcome you to the show. My name is Janet Calderwood. I'm a registered dietitian, and this show is, of course, dedicated to helping consumers separate nutrition fact from fiction. As you may or may not know, there's a tremendous amount of health information that's floating around the internet, that is everywhere, and it can be very difficult for people to decipher what's actually truth, what is maybe somewhat truthful, and what just simply isn't true at all. And so I have one of my favorite dietitians and friends, Cassandra, is here with me, and we are going to talk about something that's really going to be important all year long, and that is successful weight loss efforts, I should say successful. And I say successful because we know that many people have a desire to lose weight, correct?
Many.
And 95% of people that lose weight, what ends up happening?
They regain it, unfortunately.
And that's sad, isn't it? And actually, my boyfriend Bart, he sent me a nice article about, it's really sad, it's about the lady that won on the Biggest Loser a few years ago. She lost, I think, 112 pounds.
Wow.
Won the competition, and then regained I think almost all the weight that she had originally lost. And what's really sad is how she was describing in this article about how she felt like a failure, so discouraged, and just hopeless. And it doesn't have to be like that, does it?
It doesn't. And I think the key to that is gradual weight loss. Instead of like on those shows, the weight loss is very fast because it's a TV show and it's a contest.
Well, not only is it a TV show and it's a contest, but people like to watch that because they can see the changes right before their eyes. It's just like I was explaining this to somebody today. I said, you know, what sells in the headlines? You don't ever see a headline that says, you know, middle-aged woman has worn size 6 for 50 years and her weight has never changed a pound. Do you ever see that?
No, because that's not exciting to people.
No, you want to see something. This is the kind of things. You have somebody holding a pair of pants. It's like 3 times larger than their whole body.
You're right.
Saying, I lost 200 pounds in 45 days.
Right.
Right? Seriously, somebody's going to pick up that article.
And it's also not exciting for people to hear, how did you do it? Oh, I exercised and I ate healthy. That's not exciting. People want to hear it was a pill, or it was a plan, or it was a program, or it was a capsule.
And I would argue that none of us have just got up in the morning and found 50 pounds stuck to this hip and 50 pounds stuck to this hip.
No.
Have you?
Not yet, no.
Not yet. I don't think that's going to be the case. And so, in the same token that weight accumulation is gradual, it can be rapid if you know, eating pizza, of course, but it's gradual. That's going to have to be the same type of expectation that we have if we're looking to achieve permanent successful weight loss. And that's really the key word, permanent successful. Why regain the same weight you've been losing for 10 years?
Exactly.
Okay, so you're going to help us figure this one out?
Yep, we're going to figure it out together.
We're going to figure this one out, and I sent Cassandra out on a mission to come up with the best strategies to help people. What we know has helped people that have achieved permanent successful weight loss, what's worked and what hasn't worked. And why is it that of the majority of people, what are they doing wrong, and what are the people that are having success doing right?
Correct.
Okay, and so I think that sharing some of this information with you today is going to keep you that much closer to achieving your own personal health goals. And certainly we know that in some cases, achieving modest weight loss can have a profound impact on someone's overall health. Right?
That's
so
right.
if your doctor has told you, hey, you know, Joe, it's time to lose some weight, right? And, you know, we know that it's going to help the knees, right? The pressure on your joints. It's going to help if you have diabetes.
Blood pressure.
Blood pressure.
That can help with sleeping at night.
Sleeping. I mean,
Quality
all
of
those
life.
things. Quality of life.
But the
right.
key to it all is maintaining that weight loss.
Maintaining that weight loss, and that's the key, maintaining the weight loss. And back to that article about the woman that had won the season for The Biggest Loser and had achieved that 100 and something pound weight loss. One of the things that she said when she was sort of discussing how, you know, discouraged she was and felt like a failure after she regained most of the weight, was she said that she wanted to prove to others that she could do it. And I thought, you know, that really to begin something, it's got to be something that you want for yourself. I mean, I think it's great if you want to prove to others, but if you don't know how you got there to begin with, and that's one of the things that this particular lady was saying, that, you know, there were reasons why she weighed that, and they weren't always just physical reasons. She was eating for emotional satisfaction. So hopefully we can, you know, tackle some of these today. I don't think that we're going to give you all the answers. Everybody's individualized, but I'm thinking that some of these suggestions will certainly help many of you that are watching. So now, there's so many different diets.
There are.
Do you recommend that someone start on a diet? Is that a yes or no, a good idea or a bad idea?
I would really have to take into account what the diet consists of, but overall I typically recommend a lifestyle change. So not necessarily following a restrictive diet, but changing their diet over time and adding exercise and different lifestyle factors long term is what I recommend.
Okay, so like the bananas and milk diet or the cabbage soup diet, those
Right.
might not be the best choices.
I wouldn't say long term because we can create some vitamin and mineral deficiencies with just eating bananas and milk and cabbage and whatnot.
Cabbage soup diet, that doesn't even sound good. And the bottom line is, you know, when you think about diets, they're very restrictive.
Very.
And one of the things that a lot of people have reported why they go off a diet to begin with is because for many of the weight plans that they're following and so forth, they're so restrictive they never get to eat anything that they like. It's always carrots, sticks, and celery and these types of things. And
They're very unrealistic.
unrealistic. And food is, you know, we want people to enjoy their food in moderation.
Right. Food is supposed to make us feel good and energized. It's not supposed to be a bad thing or a negative thing. So these very restrictive diets, when the second that they're over or we decide to give up on them, we go overboard on the foods that we weren't allowed to have on the diet, our off-limit foods.
Okay, so you're saying those are not always a good idea. What would be, when you know, you're going to see all these different ads and everything for diets sometimes, and what would be something that would be favorable?
Something that would be favorable would be a diet that is long-term and realistic. And
Can you give me some examples?
of certain diets?
Yeah.
Well, I would say a heart-healthy diet. For example, a diet that's lower in sodium, lower in cholesterol and saturated fat, but then higher in healthy fats. So we can still have those foods that have fat. We don't ever want to have a fat-free diet.
No.
So if you see a diet that's fat-free, I'd stay away from that because we want healthy fats.
Okay, healthy fats are good. Do you ever recommend, because sometimes I find that this approach works, I usually tell people, what are 2 things that you're currently doing with your eating that you could do a little different, right? Like, I don't even use the word diet because if I can get them to change 2 things, and sometimes it's like, well, instead of eating a triple Big Mac, I'll just eat a single patty burger. I mean, that could be something that could have a significant impact on reducing those calories. And we know that one of the most important ways to achieve weight loss is by creating that calorie deficit. So if they said, well, you know, Janet, I could do that. I always try to meet the patients where they are, not like, well, you should never go to a fast food restaurant. I know that's not going to work. People are going to do what they want to do. But thinking of a healthier option, if you can look at a menu or something and you can find something that's pretty routine, regular in your daily intake, and find ways to chop off 200 or 300 calories, that's going to have a significant impact on your overall intake and help facilitate weight loss.
Definitely. Creating an energy deficit is going to be essential in order to lose weight. So that's either cutting calories here and there, not detrimentally, like you said, maybe 200 to 300 calories per day, but over time, that will result in maybe a half a pound to 2 pounds of weight loss a week, which is the recommended safe weight loss.
So thinking about, like we're talking about creating this calorie deficit, so ways you could do that is just, and I'm going to use just simple, basic suggestions. And I'm not picking on any certain foods or anything, but if you had a hamburger, for example, and you chose to, and instead of having a cheeseburger, you had a hamburger, right there's 100 calories by cutting out the cheese. Now, if you usually eat your hamburger with a tablespoon of mayonnaise and you took that tablespoon of mayonnaise away and had a teaspoon of mustard, again, that's probably 100 calories. You just saved 200 calories by taking off the cheese and avoiding the mayonnaise.
And that's a very realistic short-term goal that I think the majority of people could follow.
And they're still able to eat their hamburger, right? Oh, I
still
still
eat what they love, sure.
But they don't have to get carried away. So that's, when you can make those type of choices, I think that's always beneficial, and it's usually painless. Right?
Sometimes people don't even realize that they're making any headway until maybe the end of the week when they weigh themselves and they've lost maybe a half a pound to a pound and didn't even realize it.
Okay, well, good. So we're looking at opportunities to create the calorie deficit. You mentioned that it's long-term, right? So these are things that we're going to stick with. It's not like the Dr. Oz one-day diet plan. That's probably not gonna be sustainable, right? A one-day diet plan, come on.
Not too many things can happen in one day.
Right, okay. So what other things do you think would be helpful for people?
Additionally, I always recommend for people to eat consistently throughout the day. So any diet plan that you're hearing about where you can't eat for long periods of time, like the whole day, or juicing or fasting or having very little calories for a long period of time, I wouldn't recommend that, because that's not realistic and that's not going to result in long-term weight loss either.
And what's going to happen is your body's going to overcompensate. If you are going for extended period of times without any food, that when you do sit down to eat, not only are you going to eat everything on the table, you'll eat the table. And so that could be a problem.
And you're kind of just back to the beginning. Instead of eating consistently small meals throughout the day, I'm not saying large meals consistently, snacking all day, but a scheduled small meals throughout the day, 5 to 6 small meals, can prevent overeating, like the situation you just mentioned.
But when you say a small meal, I think we need to take that a little bit further, because we're really talking about, like, what is a meal? Because some people, depending on who you ask what a meal is, a small meal to them is really a big meal to somebody else. So I think that maybe we're discussing some small snack combination foods.
Yeah, it's a very good point that you brought up. And I think what's helpful is if a dietitian, for example, gives the individual what their estimated calorie needs are for the whole day. Now, this is just an estimation. And then divide that by 5 or divide that by 6. That would be how many calories you would want in your small meals.
Okay, something like that. But the bottom line is, I always think this: we don't want you eating all the time, because then you're thinking about food all the time, right? But I do think that when you have something to eat, if you can avoid a lot of these additional foods that providing extra calories, like sauces and gravies and cream-based soups versus broth-based, whenever you can, make a better choice. And it might even be helpful label reading is a great chore that people can exercise to make them aware. You can get a little restaurant dining book. Whatever tools are going to help you to make a healthier choice. Hey, every time you have the ability to do that, you're one step closer to your goal.
That's right. That's very good.
And I think that, you know, you've mentioned about weighing yourself once a week is important too. Because people get stuck on that number.
They do. They get obsessed with it. I've seen it.
And then what happens?
And I've been there too. What happens is people allow that number to dictate their entire day. Whether it's going to be a good day or a bad day is going to be dependent on the number in the morning. And there's so many different variables that can contribute to that number. It could be fluid retention, it could be the weather, it could be other things going on with your health.
Just think about it. If somebody has a bowel movement, that can affect their weight depending on the time of the day that they're weighing themselves. You know, for a woman, if she's on her menstrual cycle, that could affect it. So absolutely. So having a specific number isn't always the best. But, you know, something that I suggest is, okay, so why not have a pair of tight-fitting pants that you're trying to wear more comfortably and trying them on once a week, right? And if in the beginning they're really tight and then the next week you try them on this 1 week, like Friday, right before the weekend, and they're still tight, you can say, all right, well, I need to be careful. The weekend's here. It's going to help promote healthier eating over the weekend. Or if they're a little looser, you're going to say, oh, wow, you know, I'm on the right track. They're a little looser. I'm making some progress. Either way, I think it would be a great, and it's not a specific number, so it's not going to discourage you.
Yeah,
it's going to motivate you.
It's a good way to promote self-awareness and self-monitoring without creating an unhealthy behavior of every single morning weighing yourself.
And then nobody wants to be around you after you step on the scale.
No.
Like, what?
No, especially if it's not the number you were expecting.
Okay. All right. And plus, we want people to, you know, this to be a positive experience.
Of course.
Right?
Yes.
You know, the lady that had lost all that weight on The Biggest Loser, the thing is it was all about the weight loss. It wasn't even about, I mean, obviously, achieving the weight loss is going to promote greater health. Right? But there's so many other components of that. It's not all about what the scale says. So I appreciate you saying that. What else do you have there?
Well, I think just talking about weight loss, it would be silly if we didn't mention exercise, how important exercise is. In addition to making small changes in your diet, exercise is really going to help you get to your weight loss goal.
So finding something that you enjoy doing, and if you've been watching this show, you know we had Matt on here a few weeks ago. He had some good suggestions for exercise, but do something. Don't just sit on the couch eating bonbons all day. That's not going to help. Get up and go do something. Dancing, walking, you know, anything, right?
Right, and the recommendation is 30 minutes most days of the week.
Most days.
So that's more than 3.
7. In my opinion, I think you should do it every day. If things are important to you, you're going to include them every day, right? You brush your teeth every day.
And what's really helped people that I've seen is adding a Fitbit to their life to you know, monitor how many steps.
A Fitbit's like a monitoring device. It keeps track of how far you go, like a pedometer or something like that. Those tracking devices have shown to be very effective in helping people increase their activity as much, I believe, as over 25% more than what they would if they didn't have one on.
And also, if you have an iPhone, there's a built-in pedometer that's already on your phone with the update.
Really?
So that's what I use, yes.
Aha.
But the thing is, it has to be with you at all times. So if you're in a Zumba class, you don't have your phone on you, obviously that would be weird.
Right.
Then you don't get to keep track of those steps. But it's not, you know, 110% accurate, but it's something to keep you in tune.
Okay. And then what else? What else are you thinking about as far as successful weight loss?
Other strategies would be not to skip breakfast, which goes along with eating consistently throughout the day.
I would say not even skipping any meal.
No
really.
meal at all. But typically breakfast is what I've heard people are skipping the most. And it could be that they're not hungry, it could be that they don't have time, and there's strategies for each one of those barriers as well.
How much time do you need, really, to take I mean, really, open a cheese, like a string cheese, and, you know, maybe a slice of whole grain toast.
Or yogurt.
That takes 30 seconds. You don't have 30 seconds?
Right. And there's so many benefits to eating breakfast. It suppresses mid-morning hunger. It keeps your glucose regulated, no spikes. We want our glucose to be as steady as possible.
Right.
It helps with our energy, elevates our basal metabolic rate. The list goes on for reasons why eating breakfast specifically is so important.
But specifically, not pancakes, sausage, and the like, right? I mean, we're looking at healthy components of a breakfast. People tell me often, you know, I don't like breakfast food. Well, how about, you know, again, a whole grain bread, something like whole wheat bread with a nice bit of peanut butter on there. I mean, that's very nutritious.
It's very balanced.
It doesn't have to be, it could be even something like lean turkey. Sometimes I have a turkey sandwich for breakfast. You can do whatever you want like that, but I just want to give you some suggestions. You can think about things that you can fit into your lifestyle. All right, now let's talk about, I want to share a few things that people can do. You know, we can talk about when you're putting food on your plate,
Okay.
right?
Yep.
What would you do? You could change your plates up a bit.
You can. You can change the size of your plate. So typically at home we have the larger plate, like the dinner plate, supposedly, and then the smaller plate, like an appetizer plate.
Yeah.
So if we switch those up a little bit, using the appetizer plate for the dinner plate, it can help with our portion sizes.
Good.
And then using the larger plate for salad.
That's a great suggestion. And trying to keep with salads, putting salad types of food on your salad, right? Not all this bacon and
Eggs and croutons.
all this business. All right, try to keep it healthy and not 5 gallons of ranch dressing, please. Thank you very much. There's a study that showed that when people are at the office, if they have like a candy dish on their plate or on their desk, that they ate 48% more candy than those that had candy dishes that were 6 feet away. That's according to a study that Dr. Wansink did at Cornell University. And then, you know, actually with dieting, you don't want to get carried away with variety. For example, some studies have shown that keeping things simple, and I'm going to use the examples that they had, but certainly these aren't what I would consider healthy options for anybody who's trying to achieve weight loss. But they serve people French fries, and then they serve people French fries with mayonnaise and ketchup. And the people that were served French fries with the mayonnaise and ketchup options ate significantly more French fries. People that were served brownies, plain brownies, versus those that had brownies with whipped cream. Again, the plain brownie group ate a lot less than the brownies with the whipped cream. So, you know, you don't have to, the more variety you have, the more things that you want.
Yeah.
So keep it simple, stick to a sensible plan. The myplate.gov website, myplate.gov, has some great tools there. You can actually do your own calorie estimator tool, and it'll say, you know, you just put in your age and your gender and how much you weigh and what it's going to take to lose weight. And it'll give you a printout on, you know, how many servings of vegetables you should try to achieve, how many fruit servings, what it would be, so that you're getting all the key nutrients. Something like that would be advantageous to help not only maintain your overall nutrient needs, but to help you achieve weight loss. So
And there's also a food tracker on that website, which is awesome.
Food tracker, you can put the foods in there and keep track of it.
Everything that you
and
eat.
it shows you graphs, and if you're into those types of things, that's a wonderful opportunity. What about goal setting? Is goal setting important?
Goal setting is imperative in my opinion, and I
Okay.
set goals with every single client that I have. Short-term goals and long-term goals. And we want these goals to be very specific and then also realistic.
Okay.
So we don't want to make a goal, I'd like to lose 20 pounds in 2 weeks for a wedding. Not so realistic.
Has anybody done that? Come to your office and when you told them to come up with a goal?
No. Maybe they were embarrassed to say it, but no, they didn't.
No.
They haven't said that. That was just an example. But yeah, we want them to be very realistic and very specific as well.
Okay, so when you talk about losing weight, successful weight loss strategies, what would be a safe amount of weight loss to lose every week?
I would say an estimated 2 pounds per week. Now, if someone has more weight to lose, especially in the beginning of their plan, the weight comes off a little bit quicker than, as time goes on. But about 2 pounds per week is the recommendation.
So I usually like to recommend, I don't like to say, okay, 2 pounds. I'll say, listen, if you're losing weight, that's better than no weight. But, as a goal, maybe even saying, okay, so the first 4 weeks, maybe if you could lose 3 to 5 pounds by the end of the month, right? That might be good, because then you got to have at least 4 weeks there, and it's about 1 to 2 pounds a week. And then if 1 week they lose a little less, and then one they lose a little more, it's averaging out well. So I don't like giving specific, okay, you got to do this, because like you said, we want it to be realistic, and we want this goal to be met so that the people will continue to go on and be motivated to do more, right?
And if someone's not into a specific number, they don't want to put a number of weight loss, you can use the example that you used with your pant size. You could say, I'd like to go from a 12 to a 10 in 2 months.
Okay. That's a good thing. And the goal, and you could even have process goals, like I'd like to walk 30 minutes a day for 1 month. I mean, really what you're looking at is you're trying to help people establish some habit changes.
Yes.
Because those habit changes are what are going to be successful in helping people maintain that weight loss.
Yeah, so if we're looking for a diet plan or a diet program, we want to choose something that will help us make a behavior change and make a life change. Because if we just put a meal plan in front of us, it's not teaching us anything about food labels, it's not teaching us anything about energy deficits and things like that.
And then remembering, last but not least, remembering that, when you're opening the refrigerator, or the cupboards, you want to have those healthy food items in the front, right? Make yourself a party tray. Put fruits and vegetables on it with a low-fat dip. Keep it right there in front, eye level, so when you open up that refrigerator, it's right there. It could be useful for not only you, your spouse, and your family, your children, so everybody's eating healthier. I mean, we could sit here all day and come up with all types of strategies to help people achieve weight loss, but I think people need to plan ahead. They need to think about their life, what they are willing to do, what they're not willing to do, and doing nothing, nothing's going to happen.
Right.
So you're going to have to make some changes if you want to have achieve your goals. So thank you for tuning in today. Thank you, my friend Cassandra, for being here.